What's up, everybody, and welcome to One Man's Opinion. And today we're talking about Obi Wan Kenobi episodes 3 and 4. I really don't actually have just a whole lot to say about these last two episodes. I find myself almost in a rut with this show, which we're only 3 or 4 episodes in, and there's just something missing from this show. I don't want to bore you with a whole lot of beating around the bush here. I don't think this is going to be a very long video, and so I'm just going to tell you where I'm at, and you guys let me know in the comments if you guys kind of feel the same way about it. Am I tripping? Am I missing something? Just so you guys know, Obi Wan Kenobi is my favorite Jedi and has been since I was a kid. I loved Obi Wan. He's a special character. He was, for a long time when I was a kid, it was Luke Skywalker. But I think after the prequels came out and I saw all 3 of those and I was able to kind of grow over 3 films with Obi-Wan the same way that you kind of do with Luke in the originals, I think Obi-Wan was my favorite character for a long time, with Luke being, the close second. And the writing and the direction of this show is just off. It's just not done well. There are so many little things in this show that just make me scratch my head. I cannot understand. I cannot fathom the decision-making process. And let me be absolutely clear about this. I know that there's a lot going on with Moses Ingram and, angry fans. Let me make a couple things perfectly clear. Number one, I do not shy away from going after actors and actresses when they're not doing a good job. And you can watch any of my movie reviews and you'll see plenty of it. If I feel like an actor's just phoning it in, or they just didn't bring it, or they didn't do a very good job, I'm happy to say that. I'm disagreeing here with anyone who thinks that Moses Ingram is not a good actress. I think she's fine. As a matter of fact, I think she delivers her lines pretty well. Sometimes you got to look at the lines that an actor or an actress is being given to deliver. And I said the same thing about Hayden Christensen in the prequels. A lot of people for a long time, and I know he's come back from all this, and it's kind of come back around the other way where the internet is really behind Hayden, and a lot of people really miss him, and they feel bad for, everything that they said about him at the time. But I've always maintained the stance that Hayden Christensen did a phenomenal job with Anakin Skywalker. Legitimately did a great job. But the writing and the direction at times were not good, particularly in episode 2. And that's the one where he catches the most flack for that performance. But I really think if you go back and watch that movie, he delivers a lot of emotion. And I know it's cringy at times, but he's like a teenager during that movie. Teenagers are cringy. They are super over dramatic, and they do say stupid things. If you've ever spent time around a teenager, or if you were ever a teenager in your life, I promise if you could go back in a time capsule and just watch yourself, you would cringe more time than you would be proud of yourself for something that you did. More than likely, just watching yourself at school interact with classmates and stuff like that, I guarantee you would have a lot of cringy moments. Teenagers are that way. I think it's actually pretty accurate. But we're not here to talk about that, and I'll chase that rabbit all day long. I've got a lot of thoughts on the prequels. But no, I don't blame Moses Ingram here. This is really bad writing and really bad direction, and you see it everywhere, from set design to how the camera moves and the things that they choose to show you that if they hadn't have shown you. For example, in episode 3, there's a scene where Obi-Wan is trying to cross this laser fence. It's a Sith checkpoint, and he's all in disguise and everything, and he has to kill the stormtroopers there, and I'm pretty sure the little mole guy that was giving him a ride dies there, and then Obi-Wan goes and he disables the laser fence, the barricade, so that they can pass through. And during this whole scene, you never really get a good look at this kind of canyon wall that it appears to be a narrow passage, right? Where this wall, this barricade is up to keep people, it's a checkpoint so that everyone has to funnel through there and the Sith can kind of check everybody, which all makes sense. Obi-Wan, he disables the barricade, and then they choose to take this aerial shot over the barricade area, and you can see that this little barricade doesn't stretch further than 12 feet. And there's these posts in the ground, and literally, you could just go right around the post. Also, he could have just put, it's only this high. He could have just sat Leia on the other side and crawled under the little thing. And like, because they put that shot in there, I got to thinking, I was like, was disabling that thing even necessary? Like, you could just go around. That's a horrible checkpoint. Like, I get for vehicles and stuff like that, yeah, it would stop it. But why show that aerial shot? Like, in my mind, it was already like, no, it made sense. It was a logical checkpoint. And then you show that, like, it doesn't even go all the way to the walls. And it's like, that's not stopping anybody from getting by. And the hill's not that big. Couldn't people just, if they were trying to get by, just go up on the other side of the hill and down the other side and they would be out of there? There's constant shots like that in this show where it was like, either, why did you show that? Or, during the writing process, why did you make this a thing? Because that's the great thing about creating a movie or a TV show. When you're writing it, you can play with things and make it make sense. But it's just laziness. It at this point, everything Disney touches, it's just for a paycheck. That's what it just feels like. There's no heart. With George Lucas, you know, this was his life. This was his legacy. He had a story he wanted to tell. Same thing with the prequels, whether you like them or not. He had a story he wanted to tell, and there's a lot of heart in those movies. There's a lot of care, but there is not the same care. And I'll give you a perfect example. There's so many things in episode 4 that I was like, that wouldn't work. And why is he able to do this? And look, I'll give you example after example. And like I said, I'm not going to keep you here long. I'm just going to give you a few examples, give you the rest of my thoughts, and you can be on your way. Number one, Obi-Wan, this whole time, hasn't been using the Force. I thought it was so that he couldn't be tracked by the Empire. I thought, okay, he's not using the Force so that they can't feel where he is and they can't find him. Makes sense. Good. And then he fights Vader, and Vader kicks his butt all over the place, and he uses no Force powers. He doesn't do anything. He just gets slung around, and it's awful to watch. I mean, it's cool to watch from like a Vader standpoint. You're like, oh, that's dope. That's Darth Vader. He looks like Darth Vader. He's moving like Darth. He sounds like Darth Vader. Like, it's all really great stuff. But then you look on the other side and it's like, that's Obi-Wan. And this guy really sucks now. You know, 10 years later, he's got nothing. And so in my head, I was like, okay, maybe he's cut off from the Force. Because I watch other videos after I make mine. I want to see if everybody else kind of feels the way I feel. And some people that I watch were like, no, he's cut off from the Force. He can't use the Force. That's why Vader was throwing him around and everything. And I was like, okay, I didn't really think that was the reason why, but let's pretend that that's the reason why. Then we get to the water palace in episode 4, and he's using the Force everywhere. And it's like, why wasn't there a scene where he ran into Qui-Gon, you know, had a vision and, you know, got the kick in the butt that he needed? Why haven't we had a scene where Obi-Wan had his come to moment where he was like, okay, here's the Force coming back to me. Dun, 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 dun. You know, where was that moment? And if he was cut off from the Force, we should have had that moment so that we knew, like, okay, this is all right. Obi-Wan's ready to fight now. He's getting back in gear. Instead, it's just like he's turning it on and off like a switch, and it doesn't make sense when he does use the Force and when he seems like he's scared to use the Force. And if he wasn't cut off and he was just trying to not use the Force to not be caught, so that he wouldn't be caught, then when he uses the Force on the actual fortress, that's the stupidest idea ever. Because he's gone this whole time, even when Leia was at gunpoint and he lays down his weapon before his butt is saved by the fake Admiral chick. Even that moment, like, he was giving up. It was such a weird moment for me when he got captured by the stormtroopers and he was like, yeah, I've got a lightsaber on me, but I'm going to lay down my weapon and I'm going to, you know, if she hadn't showed up, they would have been captured. And I was like, what is the plan there? Why would Obi-Wan, he knows he cannot give up the fight right there. He absolutely cannot lay down his weapon. He's got to come up with something smarter, like he did just the time before when he pulled the quick shot. You know, Leia was captive. I know I'm bouncing around. Just hang on. Leia was captive, and they were like, oh, put down your weapons or I'll shoot her, you know. It was just one guard, to be fair, but Obi-Wan's like, okay, I'm going to put down my weapon. Bam! Gotcha! You know, and shoot him, and he's down. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, good. And then the very next time, there's like, yeah, there's 2 or 3 stormtroopers this time. I get it, you're outnumbered. But, dude, you have a lightsaber. Pull that thing. Skin that smoke wagon.
Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Like, why is he not using his lightsaber? Even if he doesn't have the Force, he can block bullets. 3 stormtroopers is nothing. It's nothing, my guy. I don't understand. They can't hit you anyway. They're going to miss from 4 feet away. I don't know what you're worried about. You don't need a lightsaber. You walk up and hit them in the face. They're going to miss. Like, that's a stormtrooper. So what are you worried about? And he, like, lays down his gun. Like, you're going to let them arrest you and Leia right here. And it doesn't, and then, oh, well, we got to have this moment for the Admiral to show up and save his life. Yeah, oh, it's going to be really cool. No, how about just stop castrating Obi-Wan in ways that don't make sense? Either he has his powers or he doesn't have his powers, because the next episode, he's making sounds on the other side of the ship to distract stormtroopers, and he's doing a force push thing to hold the ocean back. Like, that takes a considerable amount of strength. This guy is not as weak as we've been led to believe, and he should have either had an aha moment where the force came back to him if he was cut off, or they should do a better job writing the story, because it doesn't make sense. If he's still trying to hide, and he was never cut off, and it was always about not standing out and not using the Force, which is what I thought, then how can he use the Force right there on their base? As soon as he did that little Jedi thing, and he was like, oh, sound over there, stormtroopers distracted, I'm sneaking away. As soon as he did that, Third Sister should have been like, there's Kenobi, I've had my radar up for him this entire time, that's what all this is about, so I'm going after Kenobi, he's here, I feel him. While we're on the subject, I can't make sense of the writing. It just doesn't make sense. Why have, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, but the fake Admiral chick who works for the good guys but is a double agent, why have her sit 6 feet away from other Imperial Guard when she's doing when she's talking to Obi-Wan on the microphone, and she's like, oh no, you need to take a left here. Oh yeah, there's sentry droids everywhere. Oh yeah, there's people everywhere. You're 6 feet. They hear you. There's not even carpet in this room. Everything you say is echoing. Put her in an office room. You can still have a guy come in and be like, you're not at your station. You can still do that whole thing that you wanted to do, but it actually makes sense. There's no way people aren't looking at you sideways. There's no way people aren't looking at you sideways if you're sitting over there going, and you're on a computer, nobody recognizes you, nobody knows who you are, you've already been in question at the gate. Like, there's already questions about who you are and what you're doing, and there's like 3 other Imperial officers in the room sitting 6 feet away, and nobody is like, it's weird that this chick is like monitoring someone's position inside this base and whispering to them directions that we can definitely hear, especially since Obi-Wan on the other side of the comms is going, are you still there? Hello? Are you still there? And it's like, she left her comm sitting on the table when she went with the other dude. Somebody's picking that thing up. It's just nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. There's so many flaws in the writing and in the direction. No actor should be blamed for this travesty. It is. And it's not horrible. Like, there are good moments. There are really solid moments. Leia's starting to grow on me. I'm happy to see Obi-Wan doing a little action. I just wish it made more sense when he has the Force and when he doesn't, because apparently it's just a flickering light bulb at this moment, and sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. The trench coat scene. Oh, the trench coat when they're sneaking out, and Obi-Wan, where did he find a trench coat? I've never seen an Imperial officer with a trench coat on. Is it the stormtroopers when he's out of uniform? Is there a weird stormtrooper there who takes his armor off at the end of his shift and wears a trench coat? Where did he find that? And then he's doing this little rascals thing where he's got Leia under the trench coat, and he's walking by hundreds of stormtroopers and Imperial officers, and nobody notices that this guy looks like one of those horse costumes that 2 people sit in, where, you know, you got the guy who's the caboose and the guy who's the front of the horse, and they walk like this, you know. No one notices this dude walking through an Imperial base in a trench coat with a little girl under it. No one sees that until Third Sister comes in at the very last moment. She's like, Kenobi, you can't get away. She's still not a good character. She's still an awfully written character. She is not intimidating. She's a bad guy. They killed their best bad guy. Aside from Vader himself, they killed their best bad guy in the 2nd episode. The dude who was actually intimidating, the dude who actually could have brought a little bit of like, oh, we got to get up out of here, instead of another teenage tantrum thrower, was the High Inquisitor. And they killed his butt in the 2nd episode. And Obi-Wan didn't even get to fight him. Obi-Wan didn't even get to fight him, and Obi-Wan's not fighting anybody except for stormtroopers, apparently. And sometimes he's using a blaster. I cannot figure out. We come off of a scene where he's using his lightsaber quite a bit against the stormtroopers, and then we get out on the flight deck, and there's stormtroopers everywhere, and the third sister's right there, and Obi-Wan never pulls his lightsaber. Never pulls it one time. He's using a freaking pistol. Obi-Wan hates blasters. He's like on the record. He hates using them. He's always hated using them.
So uncivilized.
And now he's just like, this is my weapon of choice. I'm Han Solo. Let's go. Either have him use the Force or don't. If you want him to use a blaster, then stop making him use the Force when it's convenient to the plot. If you want him to be cut off from the Force, have him be cut off from the Force if that's how you want to build your tension. But you can't flip-flop on these things. Just like you can't flip-flop on Leia in the first couple episodes where she can like read people emotionally, but then at other times or for certain instances or for certain things, she doesn't have a clue and she's like, no, Obi-Wan's clearly dangerous. I must run away. If you can sense that he's lying to you, you can also sense that he has no ill will towards you and that he's obviously telling the truth. He might be hiding something, but he is at least telling the truth. She should have been able to sense that. She should have never run from him. I covered that in 1 and 2. The plot holes, the horrible writing. Give this show, which is so close to being worth watching, just a slog. It is not fun. It's just like, okay, now we're doing this, I guess. And all right, now this is happening. Even though earlier, I guess Obi-Wan can do that now, but then we're in the flight deck, and I guess now he has no Force powers. Even though they're surrounded now, and it sure would come in handy to have some Force powers now. But now I guess he's not got anything, and I guess his lightsaber just ran out of batteries because he would rather shoot a little blaster pistol than pull his lightsaber, which is far more effective. So pick a lane, show, because my favorite character right now is getting drugged through the mud and looks as bad as Luke Skywalker did in episode 8. These next 2 episodes, I am dying for them to be better. And I hope maybe you guys can enlighten me on some stuff. Maybe you guys feel better about it. I'm going to get out of here. I got another video to record today. Sorry this one was kind of a downer, but if you're looking for something that's a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more optimistic, come on over and listen to me talk about Stranger Things. It'll be dropping in a few days. Forgot to mention that. I'm away right now, but these are all set to drop. So make sure you subscribe. That way you get, and hit the bell icon. That way you get notified when these videos drop, especially since I'm out of town. I can't really make updates. These things are just scheduled. They're just coming in whenever I set them to a week in advance. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video if you like the video. Comment down below if you got something you want to tell me, something you disagree. Hey, man, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to, have conversations about this stuff if you want to. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. This has been One Man's Opinion. Thanks.